Bob, Friday, over here. You guys sit down for a while. Nice guy. He died, shortly after. He was a nice guy. But then after we got through the Green Mountain, the service, we made a girls' school. It was a girls' school for 4 or 5 years. I said, well, that's not my work. They're smart kids. You might get a scholarship or something else. Yeah. Isn't that wonderful? And these are pictures too. I can't play golf since. Yeah, I just did it. I did the ball about 120 yards. Can't play. I have a lot of fun. He's a band, but the one that used to wrote is he play? Okay. So he's not retired yet. His daughter's in here too.
Well, good evening. Before we get started, I want to let you know my name is Ray Brown, and it's really my privilege to be the upfront guy with this wonderful group of musicians, the Brattleboro American Legion Band. And we're a community band, and so on their behalf, I wanted to thank each and every one of you for coming out and sharing your evening with us tonight, because without you, there would be no us. So I guess that means we're all in this together. So hope you enjoy the concert tonight. At this time, would you please stand as we play our national anthem? Thank you very much. So we're going to start, I'm going to go back kind of my childhood days many, many decades ago. And if I was a good kid, on Saturday mornings, my parents let me watch cartoons. And my favorites were Bugs Bunny, Sylvester, Tweety Bird, you know, the Looney Tunes. What I didn't know is that the creators used a lot of classical music as background to the cartoons. Wagner, Brahms, Liszt, Beethoven, Stravinsky. So tonight we have a little montage of some of the music from the Looney Tunes. Okay, we're going to stay in that, that time frame, but we're going to move from television to Broadway. And we're doing some selections from a musical, My Fair Lady. So it first appeared on Broadway in 1965. It then hit the films, I think, in 1975. And in between it was, it appeared in London. What's kind of interesting is that the lead male on Broadway, in London, and in the movie was Rex Harrison. So he was the lead male in each of those things. Julie Andrews was a star on Broadway, and she was. So there was a little controversy when the movie came out because Audrey Hepburn got the nod to play the lead role in that, and people thought that Julie Andrews would be a shoo-in, but didn't work out for her. But it was a big success, and we hope that this brings back some nice memories. So it was in 1893 that Catherine Lee Bates takes a trip with her colleagues up Pikes Peak in Colorado. And as she gets to the summit up there and looks out on the beauty and the grandeur that was below her, she was inspired to write the words to a poem that she called America the Beautiful. And it was never meant to be sung. That was not the intention. But it had such a nice lyrical feel to it that people started putting it together with a song that was written some 10 years earlier by Samuel Augusto Ward called Materna. And those two, poem and the song, formed a little relationship, and it is now our second most popular patriotic tune, and we hope you enjoy this version. Yeah, so just really quickly, Kevin, you got a sec? He doesn't know about this, but come on up here, Kevin. So our next piece is called Magic Slides. Each concert we like to kind of feature a particular instrument or a section of instrument. And tonight we're going to pick on the trombones. And the piece is called Magic Slides because the trombone is actually called a slide trombone. It's not a valve trombone, doesn't have valves. And there's a slide that goes in and out. Therefore, a slide. So what happens is when you blow air into the mouthpiece there, depending on your embouchure, how tightly your muscles are, your lips will vibrate at a different frequency, and it'll create different tones. And can you just on the same? Yeah, so you can do that with the embouchure. But what happens is that's kind of the limit of the changing of the mouths. But now we got to get in between each of those tones. Therefore, the slide. So you have different positions on the trombone. So how about just a quick scale? B flat will work. Yeah, so that's why they call it a slide trombone. So thank you, Kevin. That was pretty easy. And what's cool about the trombone is it's really a great versatile instrument. It's used in symphonies, orchestras, concert bands, jazz bands, Dixieland bands, rock bands, what other kind of bands? All sorts of bands. Oompa bands, you name it, trombone's very versatile. So here's a nice little fun section for the trombones. So each year, I like to program a more serious piece of music into our concerts. And sometimes I call it a symphonic piece. And this year, I picked a piece by Frank Ticheli called An American Elegy. Now, Frank Ticheli wrote this shortly after the 1999 Columbine school shooting. And he wrote it in memory of the students who lost, the students and teachers who lost their lives. But he also wrote it as a tribute to all the survivors, the other students and the family and the teachers and the folks that had to persevere through since that time through the years. So he, as you listen to it, you're definitely going to hear the kind of the pain and the despair and the heartache, but you're also going to hear hope, because that's what he really wanted the piece to be. He wanted it to be about hope, and that we are all connected, and that our lives are very fragile, and so it's all about hope. So this is Frank Ticheli's An American Elegy. Okay, our next piece was written by a Spanish composer, Jamie Texera, and he wrote this in 1925, and he named it after one of his piano students, a 12-year-old girl named Amber Roca, and it's a lot of fun. So let's get to it. So is it that time? We are going to take the briefest of breaks, because we still have a bit of music to do. So just enough time to stretch the legs, and we'll see you back here in just a few minutes.
In the back, right there. Short hair. That's it. Walking over that way. Go over this way.
see. Zoom it in. Oh, it's still working anyway. Okay.
Okay, I think we're tuned up and we're about ready to get going. And we have a kind of a special presentation we want to do just to start the second half here. So our band manager, Bill's going to come up. Bill?
Last year, when Bruce Corwin retired from being our director, we created an award, the Bruce Corwin Above and Beyond Award, the Brattleboro American Legion Band, and he was the first recipient last year. Every year, we will add a name to this. And Bruce, you want to be in on this?
Sure.
Okay. Since it's named for you,
You know what?
yeah, I'll travel over here.
2 plaques. I know what it's going to do.
Okay, I'll come over to you. How's that?
Look at this. Here's a microphone and everything.
Okay. Right.
This is I'm very pleased, and also kind of funny. I was on a committee to see who the recipient would be this year. I did, and I thought, well, let's get a plaque. So now we've got 2,
Okay.
which is fine.
Okay. Well, so one stays here in the band room and the other one can go home.
That's right.
Okay.
The thing that Bill doesn't know is that we've tried to pick somebody who really is over and above for this year. We finally came up with it. Here it is, Bill.
I think there's been a little mistake. Because the name on the plaque is different.
Yes.
The name that we came up with for this year is Joyce Arcisi, our librarian. And Joyce is also the one responsible for getting me involved in the band here 18, 19 years ago.
Yes, it's true. Oh, thank you. I really think you're very deserving of this, however. Thank you. I'm speechless. I'm speechless.
So as our band manager, I just wanted to just chip in on that. Bill Wessel does, it's just an amazing amount of work that he does. And we really wouldn't be as nice a group as we are. Just as I'm saying something nice about you, you have to do that, huh? And Joyce, the amount of work that she puts in, she's our librarian, the amount of work. So when she took over a few years ago, not that it was a disaster down there, but if she didn't take over, we're going to call FEMA in to help us out. So she's doing a great job. Hey, we're going to, I picked out a piece of music in the middle of the winter. And remember what this winter was like? Yeah, so I said, boy, I want to get something that reminds me of the warmth. So we picked out a piece called Caribbean Nocturne. And even today, I guess we could appreciate it because it's going to be a little chilly tonight. So let's take a trip down south. Everybody good? Look at you. Okay, this tune here was part of a Broadway again and made into a major motion picture. And I remember, my memory of it is the silver screen with Barbra Streisand kind of in the lead female role. And it's on a clear day, you can see forever. And so my memory of it is more of the 1970s film version. I'm not sure if any of you saw it on Broadway. But here's a little rendition of that tune. So I think I mentioned that we're a community band. I just wanted to say that we have some new folks with us this year. So we look a little bigger because we haven't eaten more, but we have more people. So I just wanted to, Bethany, were you at our spring concert last year? I don't think so. So Bethany is here. Donna was with us. Bethany, stand up, please. Donna was with us for many years, and then she took a leave of absence, and now she is back. So Donna, she's with us. Also taking a leave of absence and coming back is Nancy. Nancy, yep. We have we've missed a baritone sax player for a long time. Now we have one, Martha. And in trombone, Kevin McKibben has played with us many times, but he's kind of like a regular now, so Kevin's in our trombone section. And back in percussion, Eric is new. And Mandy, were you with us last year, spring concert? No. Mandy is new in percussion. She's also a clarinet player. And last we have Mary, also in percussion section. So new folks, and that's great. So thanks for that. Okay, so our next piece, in the Appalachian Mountains. Yeah, that's better, right? I broke it. So in the Appalachian Mountains section, there's a section there called the Cumberland Mountains, and it's just very beautiful there, and a lot of artists and musicians have done some inspirational music and art out of that area. And so our next piece is kind of a tribute to that region, and it opens up with something that is similar to like a Shenandoah kind of feel, and then there's a middle section that's like a little two-step, a lot of fun. So here is Cumberland Cross. I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to look at the back of the program, but at the end of August, we're going to be traveling to the National American Legion Convention in Baltimore. Hopefully everything's settled down then. So we're going to be heading there for the American Legion Convention, and we're going to be representing you and this post. And since we're the only Legion band in Vermont, we're going to be representing the state of Vermont in the national band competition. So we're kind of excited about making that trip. We're going to be doing 3 pieces of music. 2 of them are very serious. One is kind of a solemn piece. The other one is a little more dynamic. And sandwiched in between, we're doing March. And the other 2 pieces are not even close to being ready for prime time. This one is closer. And I was thinking, oh, what are you laughing at? I was thinking it's kind of like making cookies, right? So you get all the ingredients and you mix up the dough, and it's not baked yet. The cookies are not made yet, but every once in a while it's nice to dip your finger in and taste the dough. So that's what we're going to do tonight, is we're going to have a little taste of the dough. So this is Midway March by John Williams, and it's really, for marches, it's a little more advanced piece of music, and you're going to really enjoy this. So each concert we like to, and it's really our privilege to honor folks who have served in in the military. So we play a song called Armed Forces Salute, and we would welcome folks if you served in any of the branches of the armed services. When you hear your service song being played, give us a wave or stand up so we can recognize your service. So time for the piccolos to get their work in. Of course, in that Midway March, they had a lot of work to do in there, didn't you? You still do? Okay, I didn't want to say anything, but so hey, what concert? You know, especially American Legion concert would not be complete without John Philip Sousa.
Absolutely.
Let's do a nice tempo note. Nice tempo. Well, thank you very much. We got one song left, and that concludes it for the evening. We want to thank you again for coming out. Again, without you, there would be no us. So thanks once again. We're gonna. Oh yes. Oh, I almost forgot. Oh, we got a. This is also a very special day because it's one of our piccolo and flute players is their special birthday, and I'm not going to tell you how many years old she is, but I do know. So how about we'll just do a very quick happy birthday to you, Julie. Happy birthday to you, Julie. Happy birthday, dear Julie. Happy birthday to you. And somebody will be in big trouble for that. So I'm going to ask Marlene to come up and help us with this last number here.
When Kate Smith first heard God Bless America in 1937, she said, this song is going to outlast all of us. And indeed, we are singing it more and more. As a matter of fact, it became her trademark song, and she sang it. You probably heard her sing it on her TV show. It was the last song that she sang in public for the bicentennial in 1976. Very fitting. I am going to sing the opening verses, and I hope and I ask you to stand if you are able and join me at the proper time and sing God Bless America with me. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, and look us up on Facebook and like us. Like us on Facebook.